Hello, it's great to see you guys. I wanted to come on, share a little bit about what I've been up to, and also talk to you about a little taboo fun topic, which is alcohol. So I'm going to dive in. I have some things on my phone, so if I look like I'm looking down, I do have some things I'm going to share, and I will get to that. But First of all, I want to tell you my good news. If you're somebody who's watched my channel or you're new to me, first of all, my name is Donnell Davis. I'm a channel and a healer, and I specialize in future self embodiment, which basically means I help you heal forward to become your future self now, not a year, 5 years from now, but today. And I have a whole healing process and modality to get you there. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I'd love to support you. And I just got married, you guys. I got married in Maui, so Maui'd. And it was magical. It was just my little family of five, my two daughters, and my stepson, and my husband. And so we went to this beautiful beach in Wailea called Po Elena Lena. And it was really interesting because when we first arrived at Maui, which was on a Monday evening, it was dark, so I didn't know what the weather was like, except that it was warm. And Tuesday, Wednesday was really pretty overcast, still beautiful warm weather, but not that like sunny, like kind of like just dreamy weather. So I had prayed the night before the wedding. I was like, please God, like I really want to be able to have like sunny skies, a great sunset. And I didn't want wind because we had done the road to Hana the day before the wedding, and my hair was whipping around like crazy. And I was like, okay, if the weather's like this, I'm not going to be able to wear my hair down. So wake up Thursday morning, November 6th, gorgeous, like absolutely stunning weather. And it was so cool because I've only been married one time before, and when I went to go get my marriage license, it was like in San Diego at like one of the city buildings. And this was so cool. Like when you go to get your marriage license, I went to the Marriott, and no, I'm sorry, it was the Hyatt in Maui in Kaanapali, Lahaina area, and it is stunning. It's such a stunning hotel. Like it overlooks the ocean, but it was just like, oh my God, this is first class. Like this is awesome. I got one of the best like matcha. It was like a strawberry matcha. Like the strawberries were like pureed in there, and best strawberry matcha I've ever had in my life. It was so delicious. And Ricky got him, he loves Hawaiian coffee. So he got a coffee. We were just cherishing the beauty of the fact that we got to go to this hotel to get our license. And then the funny thing about the day was we are staying in this really high-end, gorgeous, kind of like an Airbnb, but it was on a resort property. And all of a sudden, all our plumbing stopped working, and I needed to get in the shower. We'd been swimming in the ocean. My hair was a wreck, and I was supposed to get ready for the wedding, and the showers were flooding, the toilets weren't working, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I just remember my spiritual teacher always saying, like, when anything is not going your way, just kind of relax into it, like just trust that it's for the best, that everything's gonna be fine. So I did. And wouldn't you bet, like within maybe 20 minutes, we heard this noise, almost like a gulp, like, and all the showers drained, the toilets flat. It was like the weirdest thing. Nobody came to, like, we did have plumbers come and fix it later, but it just fixed itself. And so I was able to get ready, and I have two daughters who like to look a certain way. And so everything worked out. So it was one of those days where I realized I felt like maybe it was a precursor for life, right? We're always going to have challenges, but it's like, what are you focused on? And I was focused on all the things that went right. And it just like everything kept, going right. And then we had a beautiful dinner at the restaurant in Wailea. And so it was just a lovely time. So if you've been following me, thanks for all your well wishes and all that. So I want to jump topics really quick. And alcohol, like it's just one of those hot topics. We're going to Scorpio new moon next week. Scorpio being that it rules the taboo, kind of the occult, the psychology, kind of transformation. It's such a cool sign. Um, I have I'm a Sagittarius sun in the eighth house. And so I know the eighth house. I have Mercury in the eighth house. I like know eighth house rules Scorpio. And so I'm very familiar with this energy. And when I decided, so almost 2 years ago, so November 26th, which is actually my birthday, is when I quit. I stopped drinking. It'll be 2 years this November 26th is what I should say. So I mean, we are close. And what started off as a commitment to do something different has turned into something that I wouldn't even have. I don't know. It's like I wouldn't have guessed that it was going to have this kind of impact or effect on my life. So let me give you a little backstory. I had my last drink on the night before my birthday. On my, like the last night of being 49. So I had a very rich life of course, I was, I drank. I wasn't an alcoholic. I think that's everybody's first question. Like, are you an alcoholic? Like, do you have a problem with alcohol? No, I did not. But alcoholism runs rampant in my family. So I could say, like, I grew up with all of that very much. Like, my dad's a recovering alcoholic, my sister's a recovering alcoholic, and it has deeply impacted my life. My former, which is my girl's father, he deals with alcoholism. So it's been everywhere. Okay. So when Ricky, my husband, came to me, I think it was the day before my birthday, before we were going out that night in Del Mar. This is when I still lived in San Diego. He asked me, he said something to me. He's like, I've been really thinking about wanting to connect with my higher self more, to embody more of my higher self. And I asked in meditation what that would look like. And the answer I received was to stop drinking alcohol. Now, let me give you a little so Ricky and I had done long distance for 2 years. So we would Boise to San Diego, and our weekends were so fun. I was never like towards the last 10 years of my life, like in the fourth decade of my life, I was barely drinking. I mean, I would drink like a drink or two on the weekend. So it wasn't like a big thing. But I'm giving you this context because I know some of you are really going to relate to this. And I do want to say before I launch into this story, I'm not coming from a place of judging you and where you're at. I'm offering this conversation because maybe you've been on the fence with it. Maybe you've had your own like quiet concerns about it. Maybe it's affecting your health, whatever it may be. I'm just going to share my experience with it. And I don't expect you to be like, oh, yeah, Dawn's saying this. So, oh my gosh, I wonder if she's going to think I'm bad for still drinking. No, like so many people drink. Like that's your own choice. So, anyways, Ricky and I traveling back and forth, we were having so much fun. So, I would land in Boise, he'd take me like a great restaurant, we'd go have a nice drink. I mean, it was really fun. But I always had a hard, steadfast rule that during the weekdays I would not drink because I'm a channel for a living and I didn't want to like down my, lower my frequency. I didn't want to feel like shit because we all know when you drink, especially if you're over 40 and you're a woman experiencing any perimenopausal symptoms, it's going to wreck your sleep. Doesn't matter if you have one drink or five drinks, it is going to wreck your sleep. Okay. So I was already like, that's what, like towards the end, that was always the thing I would kind of think about is like, oh, can I afford to not have a good night of sleep? So I would only drink typically on a Friday night because I was like, I don't want the whole weekend to be destroyed. So when Ricky came to me on the day of my, last day of being 49, and said this to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is an answered prayer. Because I was preparing to move to Boise and be with him. And I was already in conversation with myself, asking, how is this going to work? If like, are we just going to drink on like on a weekend? Are we going to like, because I realize I've always had strict parameters around myself and alcohol because maybe of my background and my history. So I was already kind of in fear about how to navigate us, conjoining lives and then wondering where alcohol is going to fit into it. So when he said he was going to give it up for a year, I was like, yes, I am going to do that with you. That sounds really good. Yes, yes, yes. So I went out last night of my, 49, and it's also synchronistic because I also moved after like living in San Diego for 33 years. I also was moving early December of 2023 to Boise. So I'm almost having my 2-year anniversary here. And I went out with my girlfriend. I went out with my friends, like a bunch of my college friends, couple friends, and had drinks, and it was super fun. And I embarked on it. And I don't know what I was anticipating because I didn't drink during pregnancy. There was years that, I was pregnant, breastfeeding, all the things where I wasn't drinking. So but this was different. Like there was no like higher purpose, excuse, reason, like, oh, I'm making a baby or I'm breastfeeding to keep me from having a drink. So what I recognized in the beginning of this journey was how challenging it was for me. I'm gonna give it to you straight. Like I am not gonna sugarcoat this whatsoever because if you're like me, I know you're gonna want to hear it in the most real way. So I missed it. I missed the way it made me feel like I had a vacation from the seriousness of myself. Sometimes I can be very serious when I'm like in go mode. I missed like all the associations of like, oh, when I go on vacation, I have a drink, or when I'm on a plane, like maybe I'll have a glass of wine. Like I just had all these little mini associations over all these years, ironically. 33 years, right when I moved to San Diego to go to college is when I started drinking. I didn't drink in high school. And right when I left San Diego, I stopped drinking because I moved here. Can't make that shit up. It was time. It was like almost like God was saying to me, like that version of you, San Diego Dawn, she's done. You're going to be a new person. And so this new version doesn't drink. And I'd seen it in visions that there was a version of me in the future that wasn't drinking. And I was like, how's that ever, like, why would I stop? But Ricky initiated it and it was perfect. But here's what I noticed is that it took me quite some time to feel good. And I'm going to explain to you. I want you to understand this because I think that this isn't talked about enough. Okay. So I'm going to read something to you. So regular alcohol use alters dopamine release, reducing the brain's own production and distorts how reward is processed. Okay. So when alcohol stops, your brain must reset and you may feel flat, less motivated, or emotionally uneven initially because the brain's reward circuitry is rebalancing. Okay. Over weeks to months, as the brain adapts to operating without the alcohol triggered shortcuts, hear this shortcuts, your own natural dopamine and serotonin production improves, enabling more stable mood, real life pleasure, and better resilience. So it'll vary for people depending on how long they've been drinking. For me, it took 9 months. I was for, months for the first, at least for the first 6 months, I was like, why did I do this? Because he's done this before and he had said to me, he's like, oh, you're going to love it. You're going to feel so good. It's going to be amazing. You're going to like just feel on top of life. And, he's like describing like this like incredible energy. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, when is this going to get here? And I remember it might have been a little sooner than that because I do remember, I think it was in like July, August timeframe. I started to feel like this natural shift, like this switch. And then I would say by month 9, like September, I was like, whew. And what it was exactly this, was that my brain had gotten so used to for 33 years. And I'm telling you, I only had like one or two drinks a week, that my dopamine and serotonin production were reliant. Like my brain didn't have to work as hard. So my brain had to reset, just like yours would if you do quit alcohol. And when it did finally start reproducing its own, or I should say producing its own serotonin and dopamine without the reward circuitry, I started to feel like this natural sense, like a natural high. Like, and then it would get even better, like when I would meditate and like connect my consciousness to source. And so I share this part with you because I don't think people talk about it enough, that like when you do quit, it does take time to feel naturally buoyant and good. And I think I was expecting like 2 weeks after I stopped drinking, that I was just going to be like, oh, let's go. But it wasn't like that for me. As a matter of fact, the other thing I think people don't talk about is the spaciousness. And for me, it was, I would feel horrible. Like one of the reasons it was so easy for me to quit was like, I feel horrible, even if I only had a drink, one drink, because I wasn't getting sleep. And then I was like irritable. So the next day was always just like not great for me. And I didn't want to live my life like that because I wasn't getting the sleep. I wasn't, so although fun in the moment, but here's the thing that I didn't realize beyond the health issues, because we do know it's a neurotoxin. Now it's being shown medically that there is nothing beneficial about it. So if you choose to drink, like you just have to know that. And I don't judge anybody. Like people still smoke cigarettes and they know it's not good for them. But I think that, kind of going back to what I'm trying to follow where I was going here, because I was going off on, neurotoxin and all this stuff, is that, oh, I didn't realize how much I was distracting myself from my own emotions and feelings. When I tell you I've been on the spiritual path for most of my life, that I am a spiritual, like I do spiritual teaching in my work, I'm a channel. I'm like very like, I don't just teach this stuff, I live this stuff. But I didn't recognize that I was using this tool to not 100% go into the depths of who I really am. It was like, it wasn't keeping me shallow by any means, but I wasn't fully sitting in my own shit. Like I could have like a tough week and I could work through a bunch of things because I wasn't drinking. Then the Friday would come and be like, you know what? That was a tough week. I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna make myself feel better. I'm gonna go out with my friends, or I'm gonna see Ricky, or whatever I was doing. And then I would kind of like go into another state of consciousness. Now, I'm going to reiterate, I'm not judging you if you do this, but I'm going to tell you the other side of this. You are not allowing yourself to sit in the conflict or the disparity of what's happening within you and really feel it. You can't, because of what I shared with you. Not only does it hijack your own reward circuitry, but it does create these ways to have these natural like your inhibitions kind of switch, and you're not as worried about things. And of course you're going to talk more because it works on different parts of the brain, where before you might not say that thing, and then you have that drink and you do it, and then the more you drink, the more it takes away your ability for your reasoning. That's why people do stupid shit when they drink, myself included when I was younger. So all that to say, my relationship with myself grew leaps and bounds when I stopped drinking. My ability to hold myself in discomfort grew exponentially. And I realized there was nowhere to run or hide for myself. Nowhere to, and it was by design that it happened to be the first year I lived in Boise, didn't have that many friends yet, didn't know just didn't know it that much. And so I had to deal with my own ways of being. And there was no, I couldn't, I can't even explain to you how challenging it was to find myself and get to know myself on a deeper level without all the distractions that I used to have. One of them being alcohol. And so I really take pride in the fact that I was able to like really get through that year of moving and starting a whole new life and a whole new identity and getting to know people and saying to them, I don't drink. Like I'm not. And then what turned out as an experiment for a year is turning into a lifestyle. So I'm not saying that I'm never going to have a drink for the rest of my life. I'm not like going to like put that out there because maybe 10 years from now I'm in Italy, I might have a glass of wine. I don't know. I'm not planning on it, but I've gained so much richness in my life. And I'm able to hold the frequency and sustain what I want to call in because I'm not dipping out. Like I'm not numbing myself, I'm not distracting myself. And there's good things about like it's fun to take a vacation from yourself sometimes. But what I realize is I need to learn how to do that without a substance. Like I need to learn how to have mastery over myself energetically and emotionally. I don't need an external substance. And then I could get into the whole thing where spiritually speaking, alcohol spirits can come into your vessel because you're not as present. And I don't want entities in my vessel. And I was always like really mindful of that. I'd always like clear myself energetically after if I had like a night where I'd have like more than a couple drinks, I would like clear myself, like do all this work to make sure that like I was clear. But most people don't even think about that there's dark and negative energies that would just like love to glom onto you, right? And so that's a whole nother thing. I won't go too deep into that, but there's a reason why people, especially if they suffer with alcoholism, like they're not themselves. They do not they're not they're disconnected because they're using an external substance to numb their their emotions, their trauma, their pain, whatever. And I really agree with Gabor Mate where he talks about alcoholics are people that are highly sensitive and they had so much pain that they don't know they're using it as a coping mechanism. And I really do agree with that. I think that, if I looked at my dad, my real dad that's sorry, my hair is driving me crazy, that struggles with it. He was in Vietnam War. He had to like do a bunch of things that he didn't want to do. And he was like this sensitive person. He comes back. He doesn't, nobody's ever taught him how to deal with his emotions or so he turned to drinking to help him cope. So I understand the mechanics of it, but my invitation to you is I'm not going to tell you you should stop drinking, but I want to explain to you the beauty of what's possible for you when you give yourself a break from it. Where you're outsourcing power to something else to make you feel a certain way, you give yourself an opportunity to learn how to work with that, to figure out like, okay, when I'm uncomfortable, like what else can I do? Do I need to go on a walk? Do I need to talk to a friend? Like, how do I work through this? And I know that, probably people that go through AA, when they're really in a struggle with alcoholism, that they have to learn all these things. But I'm talking about you, my friend, that might not even have, like, you might not be an alcoholic. You might be doing it for health reasons. Because that's the other thing, you guys, the body cannot heal if it has alcohol in it. Like if you have an autoimmune issue or anything else you're dealing with and you're drinking alcohol, it does not give your body an opportunity to heal the other things. It's working on processing. Your liver is working on processing it out. So your liver can't do its other functions of healing and trying to work through, whatever you have going on. So that was one of the bigger reasons why I am doing this long term is I have young children. I have a 12, a 10, and an 8-year-old, and I want to be around for them. I want to be vivacious. I want to live a life where I feel really good. And so I think what I want you to take away from this is if you do stop drinking, if you give it like a month, you're not really going to see, like, that's great. Like, I'm happy for you, but like, you're not going to understand the mechanics of the reward circuitry and reprogramming that and like getting it back online. and you're not going to rewire your neural pathways. You won't. Like a month is just going to give you like a little taster. Give it some time, take a year off, see what happens. Give it 6 months if you will. But like I say a year because within that period of time, your reward circuitry will come back online and you can make new neural pathways. And then you can figure out like, do I like this lifestyle? Like, does this serve me? And the statistics right now for the younger generations, alcohol use is dropping because people are realizing it's not healthy. And we've just been so conditioned and indoctrinated as a society to drink. And that's everybody's own choice. But now that you know it's got a black box warning, it causes cancers, it does all these things, it's like, okay, so why? Like, but I'm take away the health reasons. Like, there's that aspect of it, and that's a big part of my why. But my deeper why is I want to know who I am and I want to have some mastery. Like it'll take me my whole life to have mastery over myself, but I want to understand myself and I don't want to numb out and I don't want to be distracted. And I want to be clear. I want to remember conversations. I want my frequency that I work on through meditation and working out and doing all these other things. I want it to stay consistent and high. I don't want to keep dipping out and like it's just not it's not fun. So as I come up on my 2 year anniversary of it, I just thought I would reflect back on it because I have a little bit of time finally under my belt to kind of share with you. And I don't miss it. Like I don't miss it now. I missed it in the beginning, but it's pretty easy for me. And I love kava. Like I've used Kavahana, I think is the brand. If you want, you can ask me and I'll share it. But she's out of LA and she has these little packets and you can just take them with you and get a mocktail and throw it in. And it's just like a beautiful, like blissful energy. It doesn't change anything to do with your brain whatsoever. It's absolutely fantastic. So I will put that in the show notes, my favorite brand of kava. But I just felt compelled because it's not about you having to change. It's just about inviting you to kind of lean into the possibilities. And if you want to go deeper with me outside of this conversation and you want to work on really taking that vision of who you want to become and bringing it into the now moment, reach out to me. We can start with a session. I do coaching, I have group programs, all sorts of things. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. Take care.